We have a seriously toxic relationship with our own heritage. I mean, think about it. We celebrate our rural weavers on national holidays, we buy their textiles out of this misplaced sense of pity, and then we just stand back and watch their ancient industries slowly die. Why? Well, because sympathy is not a scalable business model. In today's Explainer, we're diving into a fascinating analysis by design and AI consultant Sujay L. He makes the case that our entire approach to traditional Indian craftsmanship is a massive systemic failure. So we're going to break down exactly how to fix it.
Which brings us to the million-dollar question. How do we actually turn a 500-year-old tradition into a modern luxury brand? Sujay points out that if we genuinely want to preserve traditional handloom and folk arts, we've got to completely flip our mindset. We have to stop treating these incredible creators like they're making fragile museum pieces that constantly need saving. Instead, we need to rip out those incredibly inefficient, exploitative middle layers of the supply chain and start empowering artisans with real, high-level tech architecture.
And that leads us perfectly into Section 1, escaping the heritage trap through a systemic fix.
So what exactly is this trap? Right now, isolated creators are literally stuck in these deeply fragmented supply chains. They're entirely dependent on middlemen, which forces them to sell their brilliant work as cheap commodities. Take the Chanaputna wooden toy, for example. When it's sold on the street as a cheap local souvenir, it barely sustains the maker. But what if you take that exact same 500-year-old wood-turning technique, apply a modern, minimalist design, and position it as a functional accent piece for a high-end home? Suddenly, you've got luxury. You've transformed a commodity into premium functional art. The profit gap between pushing cheap local artifacts and architecting an omni-channel ecosystem for premium luxury is absolutely massive.
And that crucial shift really comes down to this one stark reality: 10% versus 70%. Look, when an artisan is just a laborer stuck at the bottom of a traditional supply chain, they might see only 10% of the final sale price. The middlemen just gobble up the rest. But by shifting to direct-to-consumer or D2C platforms, using tools like Shopify or social media, the creator completely bypasses that middleman. Boom. Suddenly their profit margin jumps to 70%. That is not just a little bump in pay, folks. That's a total financial transformation that literally rewrites the destiny of the creator.
Now, scaling this new model definitely requires some serious tech, which brings us to Section 2, the AI-craft symbiosis, where tech meets tradition.
I know a lot of people are terrified that AI is going to replace traditional art, but true design actually utilizes high-level tech to amplify the irreplaceable human soul of the craft. Let's look at 3 highly actionable AI tools empowering rural craftsmanship right now. First up, generative AI. An artisan can use this to instantly brainstorm hundreds of contemporary patterns or global color palettes, which they then execute beautifully by hand. Second, predictive analytics. By forecasting global fashion trends, AI makes sure artists aren't wasting precious time and money weaving inventory that just isn't going to sell. And third, computer vision and blockchain. Picture this, a mobile app that scans a textile to prove it's authentic handloom and not some cheap powerloom knockoff. That gives the buyer instant digital trust.
This newfound digital trust perfectly sets up Section 3, the experience economy and selling the process.
This quote right here brilliantly captures the core philosophy of the modern artisan. People don't buy a shawl. They buy 300 hours of human life. Just think about that for a second. In a world where AI can spit out a flawless visual pattern in 2 seconds flat, physical perfection just isn't scarce anymore. You know what is scarce? Time, effort, lineage. The human process itself has become the ultimate luxury. Digital storytelling is absolutely key here. It's how you convert casual, scrolling viewers into high-end paying customers, because you're no longer just selling a final object. You're selling the profound human effort behind it.
So how do we actually capture that process and share it? Well, it's all about delivering a specific sensory experience. We're talking about 15-second ASMR videos highlighting the rhythmic clacking of an ilko loom, or the really satisfying sound of natural dyes being mixed. Or how about putting interactive QR codes right on the product tag? A buyer scans it and is linked directly to a video of the exact weaver who made their garment. By building up this digital trust, artisans can confidently add a tangible 20 to 30% process premium to their final price tag. And honestly, customers will gladly pay it when they can literally see the soul poured into the product.
But it actually goes even further than the physical product. Think about it. Creating one incredibly laborious painting takes days, and it only yields one single payout. But what if you sell an experience instead? Imagine hosting a Zoom masterclass for 10 global students, teaching them how to do that traditional painting. That has incredibly low overhead and super high margins. By pivoting from solely laboring over single products to offering educational experiences, workshops, and DIY kits, artists can monetize their heritage knowledge and build a fiercely loyal community way more effectively.
Of course, pulling all this off requires a total rewrite of how these crafts are valued. Welcome to Section 4, the Heritage Pricing Formula.
Let's completely deconstruct the math here, because this is how we redefine the creator's destiny. The old, labor-based cost-plus pricing model just adds up materials and a basic hourly wage. That's a race to the bottom against factory-made goods, and nobody wins that. True value-based luxury pricing, on the other hand, looks like this. You take your materials and fair labor, sure, but then you add a story premium. You add the legal GI tag, which guarantees geographical authenticity. And let me tell you, that is a massive brand asset. Finally, you add the design innovation that machines simply can't replicate. When you integrate storytelling, legal protections, and modern design, you transform a 500-year-old craft from a struggling local trade into a highly profitable global merchandise house.
All of these strategies come together in our final segment, Section 5, Building the Art-preneur and Empowering Creators.
So how does this new art-preneur model capture the modern youth market, like Gen Z and Gen Alpha? Because let's be real, younger generations do not care about pity buying. They care about relevance, sharp aesthetics, and strong ethics. We have to make folk art socially valid and digitally native. Here's how we do it. First, gamification. Imagine ornate, traditional Yakshagana theater crowns offered as digital skins in a massive mobile game. No way, right? It's brilliant. Next, sustainable fashion. Instead of focusing on a carbon footprint, we promote the carbon handprint of handlooms, showing buyers exactly how much water and energy they saved compared to fast fashion. And finally, streetwear. Imagine taking gorgeous tribal Lambani embroidery and applying it to a modern oversized hoodie. That makes the art wearable, a great conversation starter, and just undeniably cool.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly powerful thought from Sujay. Stop fixing problems as they happen. Start designing systems where problems cannot exist. Dignity for the Indian artisan is never, ever going to come from a charitable donation. It's only going to come from brilliant, uncompromising system optimization. We have to stop treating these crafts as dying relics and start treating them as high-value, premium design assets ready to take on the global stage. Isn't it time we actually redesign the system? Subscribe to Better India by Design for more. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.